The first time hurts. The giant virgin bride cried, but rich, lonely cowboy promised, "I'll make it!" Amara had always felt a little out of place in the small town where she lived. Standing taller than most of the women her age, she often felt the curious stares of strangers. Children would sometimes point at her and whisper, while adults would cast polite but awkward glances her way. She tried not to mind, but the feelings of being different often weighed on her heart. Most days she preferred staying at home, tending to her garden or helping her mother with small chores. The quiet of her own company felt safer, more comforting than the world outside. Her family was small, and they loved her dearly, but even among them, Amara sometimes felt a strange kind of isolation. They had grown used to her height and shy nature, and while they never made her feel unwelcome, there was always a gentle reminder that she didn't quite fit in anywhere. For Amara, life had always been about keeping herself in the background, watching others, listening, and hoping that one day she might find someone who would see her. Not for her height, not for her shyness, but for the quiet person she truly was inside. One bright morning, as the sun painted the sky with shades of gold and pink, Amara decided to go into town. She had a few errands to run at the small market, and she needed supplies for her mother's garden. She wore a simple dress that brushed just below her knees and tied her hair back in a loose braid. As she walked along the dusty streets, she tried to ignore the occasional whisper or curious stare, focusing instead on the rhythm of her own footsteps and the gentle warmth of the sun. The market was bustling more than usual that day. Farmers were selling fresh vegetables, bakers were offering warm bread, and children ran around with ice cream melting on their fingers. Amara enjoyed the lively energy of the place, even if she usually stayed on the sidelines. She carefully picked through the vegetables, choosing only the freshest ones for her mother. She was bending over a basket of tomatoes when she heard a sudden shout from nearby. "Whoa! Easy there, boy!" a deep voice called out. It carried over the chatter of the market. Amara looked up to see a large man struggling with a horse that had gotten its reins tangled in a stall. The man was tall, strong, and dressed in rugged clothes that suggested he spent his days outdoors. The horse was panicking, its hooves scraping against the cobblestones, and the man was trying to calm it down, clearly struggling. Amara felt a pang of concern. Despite her usual shyness, she couldn't just stand by and watch. She set down her basket and walked cautiously toward them. "Do you need help?" she asked softly, her voice trembling slightly, though she tried to sound confident. The man looked at her, his brow furrowed, and then let out a small, almost embarrassed laugh. "I suppose I could use another hand," he admitted, trying to maintain control of the horse. "These boys are strong, but sometimes a gentle touch helps more than strength." Amara nodded and stepped closer. She had grown up around animals on her family's small farm, and she had learned how to remain calm around frightened creatures. Slowly, she reached for the reins, speaking to the horse in soft, soothing words.
"It's okay, boy. Calm down."
"We just need to untangle you." The horse's ears twitched, and it gradually began to relax under her gentle touch. The man watched in amazement as Amara worked. Within moments, the reins were free, and the horse stood quietly, snorting softly, but no longer panicking. Amara stepped back, brushing her hands together and smiling nervously. "There."
"That should do it," she said, her cheeks flushed with both excitement and embarrassment.
The man straightened, his eyes studying her carefully. "You handled that better than most," he said, his voice warm. "I'm Ethan, by the way, Ethan Carter." He extended a large hand toward her. Amara hesitated for a moment, then shook it, noting the surprising gentleness in his strong grip. "Amara," she replied softly. "Amara Lewis." Ethan smiled, a genuine warmth in his eyes that made Amara feel seen in a way she rarely experienced. There was no judgment in his gaze, no hint of surprise at her height or her shyness, just a simple acknowledgement of her help. For a moment, the noise of the market faded, and it felt as if they were the only two people in the world. "You've got a good way with animals," Ethan said, still smiling. "Do you live around here?" Amara nodded, feeling a bit self-conscious under his attentive gaze. "I do. Not far from here," she said. "I help my mother with our farm." "That's admirable," Ethan said sincerely.
It's rare to see someone so patient and gentle. Most people would have just panicked or run away.
Amara felt a small spark of pride at his words, though she quickly looked down, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. As they talked, Ethan's horse shifted slightly, and he realized it was time to get moving.
Well, I suppose we should be off, he said, though neither of them moved immediately. There was an unspoken connection, a quiet curiosity about each other that made the moment linger.
Amara felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. She had never met anyone quite like Ethan. There was something about his calm presence, the way he didn't seem to judge her, that made her heart beat faster. She wanted to step back into her quiet, safe world, but a small voice inside urged her to stay. Ethan seemed to sense her hesitation.
If you'd like, he said gently, I could give you a ride back home. It's faster than walking, and I could use the company.
Amara's eyes widened slightly. Riding a horse had always made her a little nervous, especially someone else's horse.
But the thought of spending more time with Ethan, of feeling that rare sense of connection again, made her consider it. I suppose that would be okay, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper.
Ethan smiled warmly, leading his horse closer and helping her carefully onto the saddle. She gripped the reins lightly, trying to steady her nerves, while Ethan climbed up behind her, giving her a reassuring smile. The horse began to move at a slow, steady pace, and Amara felt a rush of freedom she hadn't experienced in a long time. The town faded behind them, replaced by the open road, the field stretching out under the soft morning light. Ethan's presence beside her was comforting, not overbearing. He didn't try to rush her, and he kept his voice low and gentle as they rode. They talked quietly along the way, sharing small details about their lives. Amara found herself opening up in ways she rarely did, telling Ethan about her love for the garden, her dreams of traveling someday, and the little joys she found in simple tasks. Ethan listened attentively, never interrupting, never judging, only offering kind words and encouragement. By the time they reached the outskirts of her family's farm, Amara felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. She had enjoyed the ride, enjoyed the conversation, enjoyed the way Ethan seemed to see her for who she truly was. She didn't want the moment to end. Ethan dismounted and helped her down, and she felt a flutter of nervous excitement in her chest as she realized how much she valued his presence.
Thank you, Ethan, she said softly, looking up at him, for everything today. I didn't know I could handle that horse without panicking.
He chuckled gently.
You did wonderfully, Amara. You were calm, patient, and brave.
I'd say that's something to be proud of. His words made her cheeks flush, and she felt a small, shy smile appear on her face. As Ethan mounted his horse to leave, he turned back to her. I hope this isn't too forward, but I'd like to see you again.
If you're willing. Amara's heart skipped a beat.
She wanted to say yes to trust this feeling, but she also felt the familiar fear of being judged, of being hurt.
I think I'd like that,
she said finally, her voice small but determined. Ethan's smile broadened, warm and genuine, and he gave her a small wave before riding off down the road. Amara watched him go, a strange mixture of hope and nervous anticipation fluttering in her chest. For the first time in a long while, she felt like someone might see her for who she truly was, and that thought made her heart beat with a quiet excitement she hadn't felt before.
She turned toward her home, her steps lighter, her mind filled with the memory of the kind, tall cowboy who had helped her feel a little less alone in the world. And though she didn't yet know what the future would bring, she carried with her a small, bright hope that perhaps for the first time she might find someone who could understand her, see her, and maybe care for her in ways that went beyond the surface. After that first ride together, Amara found herself thinking about Ethan more than she expected. His presence lingered in her mind like a soft echo she couldn't ignore. She kept recalling the gentle way he spoke, the warm smile that never seemed forced, and the way he had looked at her as if he truly understood her. For someone who had spent most of her life feeling different, feeling unseen, the memory was both comforting and unsettling. It stirred a part of her heart that had long remained cautious and hidden.
Days passed, and Ethan did not forget her either.
He made occasional trips to the town, each time finding a reason to stop by the market or chat with locals. When he saw Amara, he greeted her with that same warm smile, as if no time had passed. Each small exchange, each word, made her feel lighter, as though the weight of loneliness had eased, just a little. One afternoon, Ethan approached her while she was gathering fresh herbs from her mother's garden.
"Amara," he called, his voice deep but gentle. "Would you like some company while you work?"
Amara paused, feeling a flutter of nervousness and excitement.
It wasn't that she didn't want company. It was just that she wasn't used to being around someone who didn't judge her or make her feel awkward. But something about Ethan felt different.
I suppose that's all right," she replied softly, her hands brushing the leaves of the herbs as she spoke. Ethan stepped closer, offering a careful smile.
"I won't get in your way. I just thought it might be nice to chat while you work."
His words were simple, but they carried sincerity. As Amara continued her task, Ethan found small ways to help, handing her baskets when they became heavy, pointing out the ripest vegetables, and occasionally teasing her lightly when she accidentally dropped a leaf or two.
Slowly, the tension in Amara's shoulders began to ease. There was something so grounding about Ethan's presence, something that made her feel safe to be herself. She started sharing small stories from her life. How she had learned to garden with her mother, how she loved the quiet of early mornings, and even the little awkward moments she had experienced at school because of her height. Ethan listened patiently, never interrupting, never making her feel foolish. He asked questions gently, encouraging her to open up further.
"You know, Amara," Ethan said one afternoon as the sun dipped low over the horizon, "I've lived on this ranch for most of my life, but I've never met anyone quite like you. You have a way of seeing the world that's special."
"It's refreshing." Amara's cheeks flushed at his words.
She wasn't used to hearing such things. Most people either ignored her or made comments about how tall she was.
Ethan's words, however, touched her in a way she couldn't quite describe. As their friendship grew, so did the comfort they found in each other's company. They started spending more time together at the ranch. Ethan would show her how to ride his horse more confidently, teaching her to trust herself and the animal. At first, Amara's hands trembled as she held the reins, afraid of making a mistake. But Ethan's calm voice guided her through every step, reassuring her that mistakes were part of learning and that he would be there to support her.
One evening, as a soft rain began to fall, Ethan suggested she stay at the ranch until the storm passed. "It might be safer than walking back through the fields in this weather," he said, his tone gentle.
Amara hesitated, her shyness bubbling up, but the thought of being alone in the storm made her nod. "All right, I'll stay." Inside the warm, cozy house, Amara felt the nervous flutter of being somewhere unfamiliar but not unwelcome. Ethan offered her a seat by the fireplace and handed her a cup of warm tea. "Here," he said softly, "this should help you feel comfortable while the rain passes." Amara accepted it with a small smile, noticing the thoughtful care in every little gesture he made. As the storm raged outside, they talked for hours. Amara found herself sharing things she had never told anyone before. Her hopes, her insecurities, and even the quiet fears that had followed her for years. She spoke of feeling different, of always wondering if she would ever truly belong somewhere, or be understood. Ethan listened, his expression serious but warm, never judging, never rushing her. "You're stronger than you realize, Amara," he said gently after she had finished speaking. "It's natural to feel different or insecure sometimes, but those things don't define you. You have so much courage and kindness in you, more than most people notice." Amara felt tears prick at her eyes. For the first time, someone had seen her for who she truly was and had told her she was enough. The night passed quietly, filled with conversation, laughter, and the occasional comfortable silence. Ethan didn't push her to be someone she wasn't, and that made Amara feel more at ease than she had in years. She realized that trust wasn't just about sharing secrets, it was also about feeling safe to be herself, without fear of judgment. Over the next few weeks, their bond deepened even further. They spent mornings tending to the ranch, afternoons walking through the fields, and evenings talking by the fireplace. Every shared moment strengthened the connection between them, building a foundation of understanding and respect. Amara began to look forward to Ethan's visits, and Ethan seemed equally eager to spend time with her. One afternoon, as they were walking along a quiet path through the fields, Ethan stopped and looked at her with a gentle seriousness.
Amara, I need to tell you something, he said, his deep eyes meeting hers. I didn't expect to feel this way, but, I've grown to care about you more than I can explain. I don't just enjoy your company. I like you, truly. Amara's heart fluttered, a mixture of joy and fear.
She had never felt this way before, and the intensity of her emotions both excited and terrified her. She wanted to reach out and embrace this new feeling, but the part of her that had always feared being judged or hurt held her back.
I like you too, she whispered, her voice trembling. But I'm scared. I've never felt this way before, and I don't know if I'm ready.
Ethan nodded, understanding her hesitation.
I don't expect anything from you, Amara. I just want you to know how I feel. I'll wait for you, and I'll be patient. You don't have to rush. All I want is to be here for you, in whatever way you're comfortable with.
His words were gentle, patient, and filled with sincerity.
For the first time, Amara felt that love didn't have to be frightening or overwhelming. It could be slow, steady, and kind.
That night, she returned home with a lightness in her heart she hadn't felt in years. The connection she shared with Ethan had awakened a part of her that had long been dormant, a hope that she could be seen, loved, and valued for exactly who she was. In the days that followed, Amara and Ethan continued to grow closer. They learned each other's habits, shared their favorite places, and laughed at small, ordinary moments that somehow became extraordinary when experienced together. Amara began to trust not only Ethan but also herself. She realized that she could open her heart without fear, and that being vulnerable did not make her weak, it made her human. And while she still felt the occasional pang of insecurity or doubt, she knew that she didn't have to face it alone. Ethan was there, a steady presence in her life, someone who would walk beside her, not ahead or behind, but alongside her.
As the story of their friendship and budding love continued, Amara began to believe in possibilities she had never imagined before. She no longer felt like an outsider looking in.
For the first time, she felt that she could be part of something bigger, a connection that was real, honest, and nurturing. And though the future remained uncertain, she felt ready to take it one step at a time, knowing that someone truly cared for her and would support her every step of the way. Amara had begun to feel a quiet happiness she had never known before. Each day spent with Ethan filled her with a warmth she couldn't explain. His patience, his kindness, and the way he genuinely listened to her made her heart feel lighter than it had in years. She looked forward to his visits, to their walks along the fields, to the quiet evenings spent talking by the fireplace. Slowly, she began to trust not only Ethan but also herself, her feelings, her thoughts, her quiet desires for companionship. But even as her trust in him grew, Amara's insecurities didn't fully disappear. There were moments when doubt crept in, small but persistent. She wondered if someone like Ethan, strong, confident, and respected by everyone in town, could truly care for someone as shy and awkward as her. She worried that she might fail him in some way, that her inexperience in relationships might make her seem unworthy. She hadn't shared these fears with anyone, not even her family, because they were deeply personal. But they lingered in her heart like shadows she couldn't shake. Death to the turncoat. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Ethan invited Amara to the ranch to help him with some chores. She had been hesitant at first, but her growing comfort with him made her agree. She arrived to find Ethan working in the stables, brushing down one of his horses. The sight of him, focused yet calm, brought a smile to her face. "Hi, Ethan," she said softly, stepping into the warm glow of the barn.
Amara!
He replied, looking up and smiling.
I'm glad you're here. I could use your help today, and I thought we could work together.
The two of them worked side by side, cleaning stalls, feeding the horses, and organizing equipment. It was hard work, but it felt different when shared with someone else.
Ethan made small jokes to keep the mood light, and Amara found herself laughing more freely than she had in a long time. After a while, they took a break sitting on a hay bale and enjoying the gentle breeze. Ethan handed her a bottle of water, and she accepted it with a grateful smile. There was a comfortable silence between them, the kind that only comes when two people truly enjoy each other's presence without feeling the need to fill every moment with words. But that calm was soon interrupted by a wave of vulnerability that Amara couldn't hold back. She shifted on the hay bale, her hands trembling slightly. Ethan noticed immediately. "Amara, are you okay?" he asked gently, his voice full of concern. She looked down, unable to meet his eyes at first. I'm not sure," she admitted softly. "Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. Like I'm too different, too awkward, too inexperienced. I don't know how to be the person someone like you would want." Ethan's eyes softened and he reached out to gently touch her hand. "Amara," he said, his voice steady and warm, "listen to me. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. I don't want perfection. I want you. Your kindness, your patience, your honesty. That's what matters to me." Tears welled up in Amara's eyes, and before she could stop herself, they began to fall. She had tried for so long to hide these feelings, to keep them locked away, but now, sitting here with Ethan, the dam broke. She cried quietly, her shoulders shaking, feeling a mixture of relief and fear. Ethan didn't move away. He didn't speak at first. He simply sat beside her, letting her cry, letting her release the emotions she had kept bottled up for so long. Then, in a calm, reassuring voice, he said, "It's okay, Amara. You don't have to hide from me. You don't have to be afraid. I'm here. I'll always be here." His words were like a lifeline, pulling her back from the edge of fear. Slowly, her sobs lessened, and she looked up at him, her eyes red but filled with trust. Ethan smiled gently, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "See? You're not alone. Not now, not ever." For the first time, Amara truly believed him. She felt a warmth in her chest, a deep sense of safety she had never known. It was a new kind of closeness, not just friendship, not just affection, but the beginning of something deeper. She realized that trust could be built slowly, carefully, and that vulnerability didn't have to be scary when shared with someone who genuinely cared. After a while, they returned to the stables to finish their chores, but the atmosphere had changed. There was a quiet understanding between them now, a bond strengthened by shared emotions and honesty. Amara felt more confident, more willing to express herself, and even laughed at some of Ethan's playful teasing without hesitation. That evening, after the work was done, Ethan walked her to the edge of the ranch where the path led back to her home. The sky was darkening, stars beginning to appear, and the air was cool and fragrant with the scent of the evening. "Amara," Ethan said softly, stopping beside her. "I know it's not easy to trust someone, but I want you to know you can trust me with anything. I won't judge you. I won't rush you. I just want to be here for you, always." Amara felt a lump in her throat, her emotions a mixture of gratitude, relief, and something warmer that made her heart beat faster. "Thank you, Ethan," she whispered. "I think I'm starting to understand that. I'm learning to trust, little by little." He smiled, and she could see the genuine care in his eyes. "That's all I ask. One step at a time. We'll take it slow. Together." As she walked home that night, Amara felt a sense of hope she had never known. She realized that love didn't have to be frightening or overwhelming. It could be patient, gentle, and understanding. It could grow gradually, nurtured by trust and care. And for the first time, she believed that someone could see her as she truly was, and still want to be by her side. The days that followed were filled with more shared moments, laughter, and small victories. Ethan continued to teach her new skills around the ranch, guiding her patiently and encouraging her when she felt unsure. They discovered shared interests, enjoyed quiet evenings together, and celebrated small accomplishments. Each day strengthened their bond,
Each conversation deepened their understanding of one another. Yet, even as the connection grew, Amara occasionally felt waves of doubt and fear. She worried about the future, about whether she could meet Ethan's expectations, and about her own readiness to open her heart fully. But Ethan never pressured her. His patience and steady presence reminded her that it was okay to feel uncertain, and that true affection didn't demand immediate perfection. One evening, while sitting by the fireplace, Amara found herself reflecting on everything that had happened since she met Ethan. She realized how much her life had changed in just a few weeks. She felt stronger, braver, and more hopeful than she had in years. And most importantly, she had learned that it was okay to let someone in, to share her fears, and to be vulnerable with someone who cared. As the fire crackled and the night grew quiet, Ethan reached out and held her hand gently. "Amara," he said softly, "I'm proud of you.
You faced your fears, opened your heart, and allowed yourself to trust. That takes courage, more courage than most people ever find."
Amara felt tears prick her eyes again, but this time they were tears of gratitude and relief. She squeezed his hand, feeling the warmth and reassurance in his touch.
"Thank you, Ethan, for everything.
For being patient, for understanding, for being you." Ethan smiled, his eyes reflecting the soft glow of the fire.
"Always, Amara. I'll always be here, no matter what."
And in that quiet, tender moment, Amara felt a deep sense of peace. She realized that love wasn't about perfection, or about rushing into things.
It was about patience, trust, and understanding. It was about feeling safe enough to be herself, knowing that someone would stand beside her through it all.
As she left the ranch that night and walked home under the stars, Amara felt her heart lighter, her steps steadier. She had faced her fears, shared her vulnerability, and discovered the comfort of true companionship. For the first time, she truly believed that she could allow herself to love and be loved, and that she didn't have to do it alone. And though challenges would come in the future, she knew she had someone who would walk beside her patiently and faithfully, helping her navigate life with care, understanding, and unwavering support. Amara had never felt more alive than in the weeks she had spent with Ethan. The quiet moments, the shared laughter, and the tender conversations had transformed her world. She had learned to trust someone fully, to allow herself to be vulnerable, and to believe that love could be patient, kind, and understanding.
Yet, even with all this, a part of her heart still felt cautious. She had been hurt by insecurities and fear of judgment for so long that letting someone in completely felt both exciting and terrifying.
One bright morning, Ethan invited her to the ranch for a day he promised would be special. Amara felt a mix of curiosity and nervousness as she walked along the familiar path leading to the wide open fields. The sun was warm, the breeze gentle, and the sky stretched endlessly above them, clear and blue.
There was a sense of calm in the air, but also an anticipation she couldn't quite explain. When she arrived, Ethan was waiting with a soft smile. "Good morning, Amara," he greeted, his voice filled with warmth. "I thought we could spend the day together, just enjoying the ranch and
each other's company." Amara's cheeks flushed slightly, and she nodded.
"I'd like that,"
she said softly, her voice carrying a mix of excitement and shyness.
They spent the morning tending to the animals, checking fences, and walking through the fields.
Ethan taught her how to notice small details in the landscape, how to spot signs of animals, how to read the weather and the clouds, and how to move quietly so as not to startle the horses. Amara listened intently, absorbing every word, feeling proud of herself as she learned new skills. By noon, they took a break under the shade of a large oak tree. Ethan pulled out a small picnic basket and handed her a plate. "I thought we could have lunch here," he said, smiling. "Just us in the open sky." Amara felt a rush of warmth at the simple thoughtfulness. They ate slowly, savoring the food and the peaceful surroundings. Conversation flowed naturally between them, about dreams, favorite memories, and small hopes for the future. Every word, every glance strengthened the quiet bond they shared. After lunch, Ethan suggested they try something new. He led her to a small pond at the edge of the property.
"I thought we could go fishing,"
he said, handing her a simple rod.
It's relaxing, and it gives us a chance to enjoy the moment. Amara hesitated, unsure if she would do it correctly. Ethan knelt beside her, showing her the proper way to hold the rod and cast the line. Take your time, he said gently. There's no rush. Just enjoy it.
With his patient guidance, Amara managed to cast the line into the water. She laughed softly when the bait fell short, and Ethan chuckled alongside her. Soon she felt more confident, and they spent the afternoon quietly fishing, occasionally exchanging smiles and gentle conversation. There was no pressure, no expectation, only the calm, steady presence of someone who truly cared. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky with shades of pink and gold, Ethan looked at her seriously. "Amara," he said softly, "I want to tell you something important. You've been so brave, opening your heart and trusting me. I've grown to care about you more than words can say. And I want us to take the next step together, not because I expect anything, but because I want us to share our lives honestly and fully." Amara's heart pounded in her chest. She felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement, the same emotions she had felt in their first days together. Yet now there was a foundation of trust and understanding that made the moment feel safe. She looked into Ethan's eyes, seeing sincerity, patience, and unwavering support reflected there. I want that too," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly.
I've never felt this way before, but I trust you. I want to be with you, fully, as we take this step together.
Ethan's face softened into a gentle, proud smile. He reached for her hand, holding it firmly, yet tenderly. "Then we'll take it together, one step at a time," he said. "No rush, no pressure, just us." The evening that followed was filled with quiet joy. They walked together through the fields, hand in hand, feeling the soft grass beneath their feet and the cool breeze against their faces. For Amara, every step was a small victory, a step toward embracing love, trust, and the courage to be herself fully. Over the next few weeks, their bond deepened in every way. They shared more quiet mornings on the ranch, exploring new parts of the property, discovering hidden corners of the fields, and simply enjoying each other's presence. Ethan continued to teach her, not only about ranch life, but also about patience, resilience, and the quiet strength of kindness. Amara, in turn, shared her gentle ways of noticing details, tending to the animals, and bringing warmth into their everyday life. One evening, while watching the sunset from the porch of the ranch house, Amara turned to Ethan with a shy smile. "I never thought life could feel like this," she said softly. "I never imagined I could feel so happy, so safe, and so understood." Ethan reached over, brushing a strand of hair from her face.
"You deserve it, Amara," he said gently.
"You've been brave, patient, and kind. And now you have someone who will always see you, care for you, and walk beside you, no matter what." Her heart swelled with gratitude and affection. She realized that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about the quiet, steady presence of someone who truly cared. It was about trust, patience, and the courage to open one's heart fully. And she had found that in Ethan. As time passed, the relationship blossomed into something beautiful and enduring. They celebrated small victories together, like successfully tending to the garden or fixing a broken fence. They laughed at small mistakes, comforted each other in moments of doubt, and shared quiet evenings under the stars. Every experience, no matter how ordinary, became extraordinary because it was shared. Amara also began to notice changes in herself. She walked taller, smiled more freely, and felt a newfound confidence. She had learned that being vulnerable didn't make her weak, it made her strong. She had learned to trust not only Ethan, but also herself. And most importantly, she had learned that love could be gentle, patient, and transformative. One quiet night, as they sat together on the porch, Ethan looked at her with a seriousness that made her heart flutter. "Amara," he said softly, "I want you to know that I'm committed to this, committed to us, to our life together, and to supporting you in every way I can. I'll always be here for you, through every challenge and every joy." Tears filled Amara's eyes, but this time they were tears of happiness. She squeezed his hand gently, feeling the warmth and reassurance of his touch. "Thank you, Ethan," she whispered, "for everything. for your patience, your kindness, and your love. I feel safe with you, and I feel like I can truly be myself."
Ethan smiled, his eyes reflecting the soft glow of the porch light. "That's all I ever wanted, Amara. For you to feel safe, happy, and loved. And now that we've found each other, I promise we'll face life together, hand in hand, step by step." The night grew quiet, and the two of them sat together watching the stars appear one by one in the clear sky. There was a sense of peace, of completion, and of hope. Amara realized that she had found something rare and precious, a love built on trust, patience, and understanding. And as they watched the night sky, hand in hand, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. She had learned that love wasn't about perfection or rushing into things. It was about finding someone who would walk beside you, support you, and cherish you for exactly who you were. For Amara and Ethan, the future was bright, filled with promise, laughter, and quiet moments of joy. They had discovered that love could be gentle, enduring, and transformative, and in each other's presence they had found a home for their hearts, a place where trust, patience, and true affection flourished. And so, under the endless sky and the gentle glow of the stars, Amara and Ethan embraced the beginning of their life together, not as two people who were perfect or fearless, but as two hearts ready to walk the path of life side by side, hand in hand, ready to face every challenge, cherish every joy, and nurture a love that would last a lifetime.